The Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Well, happy Wednesday night, everybody. Welcome to the program. I'm Scotty Roberts, your host, and this is the Intrepid radio program. Right here on my YouTube channel. It's a podcast. I've been saying radio program for the last 5 years in this inception of Intrepid radio, so you got to bear with me. Eventually, I'll work that out of my vocabulary, my lexicon for the show, because we are now a podcast, not broadcasting on any radio station, but right here on my YouTube channel. And you can find the show in a couple of different places around if you just check the description. And also, what else have I got to say? Come on over to the YouTube channel and join the chat room. If you're here listening to the show, come on in. Don't just hide and listen. Come on in and join. If you're sitting down at your computer, if you're doing other things, you throw the show up onto your television, or you're just listening to it audibly, then I understand not wanting to get into the chat room. But if you're here, come on in. So everybody who's here already, welcome. I see Josh Kemp is here and Susie Q, Goddess Justice, and who else we got? Roy Palvido is here, Brother Roy. And let's see, let me scroll back in the chat room. Randall Flagg is here somewhere, hiding out. And there's only a few of you, but there's a whole bunch of you listening. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. If you want to chat, don't chat through the Facebook app if you're watching the show there, because that never shows up in the chat room, and the chat room doesn't show up on the Facebook chat. So come on over. All you can do is really comment over on the Facebook version. So come on over to the YouTube channel if you want to chat with us, and we'll take it from there. And everybody, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. And, you know, lately I've been starting this show talking about children and the things we say to our children and why our children do not do what we say. And, you know, tonight I just had one of my daughters come down as I'm starting the show. Can I have my phone back, please? I'm like, no. But why? I said, you don't tell me or your mom to shut up because we're asking you to do something. And it's that simple. So things get asked to be done of our children. We don't expect a lot of them. We don't have slave labor around here. We don't expect our children to weave fabric, or put together a molten metal, pouring them into the molds to build equipment. No, we expect our children to clean up their own messes. Pick up your mess. We expect our children to do the meager chores we've given them. Wash the dishes. And we don't even ask them to do that every day. It's every other day for the two older ones. And I even cut a deal with my son. You go out and do the lawn mowing and all the weed whacking this time instead of me. And I'll take on your 3 days of dishwashing this week. Easy for me to do. But he was like, sold. He hates washing dishes. So, but it took him 3 days to get to it. It's Wednesday now. I asked that of him on Sunday. So, you know, kids doing what they're supposed to do or not doing what they're not supposed to do seems typical. So there it is. So I come in once again, not heated, but with at least wanting to share that information with you, that the struggle is ongoing. And I don't know, and I've mentioned this before, my 3 older kids, Sam, who you all know really well, my older daughters, my twins, they grew up for still being my children. There is about a 15, 16-year gap between them and Flynn. They're 32. Flynn is 14. You can do the math when he was born. And so that 16, 17, 18-year gap almost is quite considerable in the day and age in which we live. You look at what was going on, Flynn, 14, 15 years ago. What was internet like? It was there. It existed. Do we have the phones we have? Do we have the distraction we have? No. So, yeah, Captain Flag, Randall Flagg said, Captain Flagg's got a nice ring to it, huh? Randall Flagg says it's the captain's mess. Let him clean it up. That's right. And Pearl Jones hates doing dishes too. Now, for me, yeah, I get tired of cleaning up, but I'm also somebody who likes things to be picked up. Not a neatnik, not a white glover, not OCD about it. But if you're going to make a mess, pick it up. And I'm not super hard on them about their rooms, but we tell them you got to keep your room picked up. Doesn't have to be white glove. You don't have to make your bed every day. I make Rainey's in my bed every day. And so rarely do you walk into our bedroom, the bed's not made. I just do it. Something I like doing. I like the way it looks. I like the house when it looks neat. And what you see here in the background, this is my studio. This is the way my whole studio looks. There's stuff laying around. Yeah, look. I got a rocket ship laying there that's broken that needs fixing. Do you have your rocket ships laying around? I do. I got stuff on my desk. I got things around. I got a roll cart right here that needs to, I just fixed that after a year and a half. Even though I kept my stuff in it. So, there's stuff. It's not perfect. But for God's sake, I don't have anything molding in the corner or growing maggots in the closet. Yes, that happened in our house recently. Somebody put something with some kind of food substance, left it in a bowl, in a cup, in the closet, their closet, and Rainey pulled it out of there, and she said there were maggots growing in it. Why should maggots be growing inside a dish in your house where you live? That's called not taking care of your shit. And we don't check it every day, so that to me is gross. That's absolutely reprehensible. That should not happen. But so this is why we ride our kids. Hey, that thing we told you to do, get it done. Do the thing we asked you to do. Yeah, that's really bad, Randall Flagg. That's gross. And it makes you say to the kids, what do you want next? Bed bugs or roaches? Do not, and we've banned eating in their room, and I think that's why it got shoved in there and forgotten, because they aren't supposed to eat in there. Why did they get banned from eating anything in their rooms? Because of stuff like that. They leave stuff sitting around. Let me take a sip. By the way, if you're a Star Trek fan, that cup, that mug is available. There's Spock on one side, the Enterprise on the other, and it says flawlessly logical. So there you go. That's available through all our stuff. I don't think it's on the Etsy page yet, but there it is. So all of that to say, that kind of stuff is bad. And Randall Flagg, you're right. And their rooms aren't like a garbage pit. It's like they keep them fairly straight when we ride them about it. But somebody took that and shoved it in the closet, and stuff got piled on top of it. And guess what? That's what became of it. So, reimposing rules, stuff like that, trying to get your kids to do what they got to do. And it's a thing where you can't be lax on it. Sometimes Rennie's like, to me, she's, just don't nag them so much. I said, I'm not nagging them. I want it done. If you and I ask them to do something, asked, I will use that pejoratively. It's not really an asking. We've commanded them. This is what you shall do. Rinse your own dishes when you're done with them. Randall Flagg, neither have I. Randall Flagg says, never saw the appeal of breakfast in bed. Me either. Now, I would gladly do that for my wife, and we have, and the kids and I have done that for Rainey. I don't need breakfast in bed. You know why? I don't like laying down to eat or sitting up in bed. I'd rather sit in a chair or on the floor or something. But yeah, eating in bed, and then everybody jumps on the bed, and the tray goes like this, and there goes your coffee. So yeah, I'm with you there. Elderberry says, my granddaughter hid bowls of ramen noodles in the side pouch of my couch. I find it looking for the remote, turned into cement. Yeah. Well, there's nothing like digging for the remote. And by the way, the remote is another issue around here. The remote for the television, if you're going to use the remote, I've said at least for 5 years, at least a minimum, almost daily. If you use the remote and then you leave the room, put the remote where the next person can find it. And I've pointed out several locations: on the stand in front of the TV screen, on the little table. It's like a table that slides under the edge of the sofa. So if you're sitting on the sofa, you got a tray. It's like a TV tray, but a little more sophisticated. Leave it on there. Leave it on the credenza. Leave it on the end table. Leave it where somebody, do not leave it in all your blankets and clothes, and which get mixed up with their towels that they use. And so I walk into the living room some days and I'm like, when did this become the laundry room? When did it become a bedroom? Come on, guys, pick your stuff up. There's only 2 basic rules in our house. Well, maybe 3, but 2 I think of right off the top of my head. If you use it, put it away. If you dirty it, clean it. If you drop it, pick it up. If you knock it over, pick it up. If you don't make a mess, I've said a million times, you don't make a mess, you don't have to clean one up. And when I'm cooking, even when I'm cooking, I can make a mess in the kitchen. But you know what I do? Let's say I'm browning something to add to something else. While I've got that browning in the pan and I stir it up, you know what I do? I go over here and I clean up the bowl I just used to mix the stuff. Wash, rinse it, dry it, put it away in the cabinet, go back to stirring my stuff. I do that along the way. So when it's all done, all I got to do is wipe down a couple of things, maybe throw away a wrapper, and it's done. I even washed the pots and pans I use. Now, I'm not patting myself on the back here. I'm just saying there's things I do so it doesn't make a mess for other people, for the next person. So there you go. That's the way you do it. That's how you take care of that. So my kids don't do that. My kids, so my daughter's really huffy right now because I did not give her phone back. She lives on her phone. It's like, no, I'm going to extract a little discipline where it hurts. No, you can't have your phone back. You mouthed off to your mom and me. You yelled at your mom and me. You yelled at us to shut up. And all we were doing was saying, hey, go do that thing I asked you to do. And the Rainey was standing there. Rainey had just gotten out of a bath after a long, hard day. She comes out in the living room, and we got those cabinets that have the foldable cloth cushions, no, I'm sorry, not cushion, drawers, decorative, with the hard bottoms on them. You fill them full of your junk and slide them into all these big cubbies on the big shelf. And Rowan was out there digging for something in the electronics bin out of that shelving system. And she pulled it all out. It's all out in the middle of the floor. And Rennie said, be sure to put that away when you're done. I am. I'm gonna. You don't have to get on me about it. Whine. And yell. It's like, excuse me. I just said, please put that away when you're done with it. It wasn't even, you little turd. It was, make sure you put that away when you're done with it. You know, I always say that to her, especially because that child is the master of, I will praise her. She's very good at helping out and doing things. But the thing she's supposed to do, she doesn't do as well. And her daily routine is one of, I'm going to look at this out of the shelf, pull it out, drop it on the floor, and move on. Or cook something extravagantly stupid and Dad, I'm gonna make spaghetti sauce on hot dogs cut up in it. I'm like, you sure you really want to make that? I said, I can make. No, I don't need eating. I don't go to the trouble. I'm just gonna do this. So she cut up her hot dog, and the package is on the juice out of the package is all over the countertop. The sauce is everywhere. She makes pasta, and I'm sorry for sauce, ragu sauce, and cut up hot dogs. It's not pasta. She made noodles, and they're all dried on the pot when she's done. They're all over they're down in the burners. It's like, how do you get all the food that you make and serve yourself down in the burners of the stove? All 4 of them every time you serve yourself something. And so, and then she's gone. She's gone out with some friends or something to go to the park. And it's like, Rennie will say, whoa, what happened in here? And I'd come and look, and that's Rowan's lunch. And before she made the lunch, you say, be sure you clean up your mess. I know. Is it done? No. So anyway, enough on that. I'm belaboring that point only to say, I come in with that. If you've got children, especially children nowadays, things are different. We don't raise our children the same way. We have some of the same basic principles that apply, but we don't raise them the same way. Even the way I raised my older kids is different. They have different influences, different stimulants, different things going on, different world politics, different world cultural things going on. When I went to school in high school, 1974 to 78, right in there, 75 to 78. Talking 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. The world was a different place. We knew things. There was the news. We learned some things in school, but we didn't have the information at our fingertips the way we have it now. So all of this is it's stuff of adapting to the generation. I don't feel like I'm elderly enough to say, oh, those young kids, we did it so differently back in my day. But that's kind of what goes on sometimes. And it's like, what are you guys doing? I said, we didn't do that when we were. If I talked that way to my mom when I was your age, I'd have been slapped in the face. You know, things like that. Things have changed. My mom's not a hateful, mean, corrupt person. That's the era we grew up in. You don't talk to your mom that way. And if you do, you're going to get slapped in the face. Boom. So we don't hit our kids. Although there have been times, I slapped my son in the face once because of the way he was talking to me and his mom. I said, you want to be a big man and talk to us that way? I said, I'll treat you the way they used to treat big men who talk to people that way. A long time ago, I'll slap you in the face. And so stuff happens. There it is. Yeah, CPS, come and get me. Slap my son in the face. He was disciplined. So, yeah, Elvis, that's it. Just start yelling at the kids to get off your lawn. Then you're old. Well, today, Flynn was mowing the lawn today. And I told him the front yard. Now, maybe some of you will think I'm unbelievably OCD. And this is not OCD. It's the way I like things to be done. Like I like folding towels a certain way. It's not OCD. I just like them to look nice. Fold them right so they look nice when they're all stacked up on the shelf. Not looks like chaos. Mowing the grass. I told my son today. I said, when you go outside to mow the grass, and we were standing outside, and the one car was parked in the driveway in front of the garage. I said, now, son, don't just go back and forth on the lawn. I said, it just makes it look, I don't even know what word I'm thinking. Think of a word for me. Because I like to mow the front lawn, only the front lawn I do this to. I do in a diagonal. Then the next time I do a diagonal the other direction. Why? I kind of like that diagonally placed checkerboard across my lawn. I think it just makes it look neat, because I see people down the street they just mow their lawn. I got to mow my lawn, just got to get mowed. Pff. They leave their clippings all over and stuff like that. We've got a mulching mower, so it doesn't do that. Leaves the clippings, but you don't see them. And so I told my son, I said, from about the back end of the car here in the driveway, I said, to the big pine tree up over there on the property line, I said, just make a diagonal and then just follow that. Okay, Dad. And he did that. And when he was all done, he says, I'm done. He says, I don't know if I did it perfectly, but I said, son, it doesn't have to be perfectly. I said, thank you for getting the job done. I appreciate that. And he missed some stuff. He didn't do the weed whipping or anything like that. So anyway, that's not what the topic is tonight. Topic's gaslighting. I don't gaslight my kids. I yell at them when they deserve yelling at. I tell them to do what they're supposed to do. I don't tell them non-truths to try to deceive them psychologically, to manipulate them. I don't do that. And so all I did was come in with that. So I wanted to share that with you. If you're a parent, take heart. It does get better. I know I've got kids that have already grown up, and it gets better. So, and they get better at it. So, Susie Q, go enjoy your supper. We're going to dig into the topic now. Right on cue. 9:24. All right, guys, get your steel panties on. Get your tinfoil hats out. And let's talk about this a little bit. About this whole thing of gaslighting. What's gaslighting? And we keep hearing that Biden is gaslighting America. The left is gaslighting America. The right is gaslighting America. The Trump is gaslighting America. So what's the gaslighting of the American people is really what I want to look at tonight. And gaslighting, I want to go to the definitions of gaslighting. We've talked about gaslighting several months back now, but on this show, we spent an episode talking about gaslighting. And I've got everything from Psychology Today to different articles from different news organizations, things about inflation from Forbes and other places, and how inflation rates are how Biden is gaslighting America. I've got media gaslighting about Biden's obvious signs of decline. That's very recent. Overcoming relationship insecurity caused by gaslighting. I've looked into that side of things. It's a big topic. There's a lot of information out there. But let's kind of start with gaslighting. What is gaslighting? It's this insidious form of manipulation, and it's psychological control. Victims of gaslighting are deliberately, systematically fed false information that leads them to question what they know to be true, often about themselves. And they may end up doubting their memory, their perception, even their sanity. And over time, a gaslighter's manipulations can grow more complex and more potent, making it increasingly difficult for the victim to see the truth. Now, here's how it works. The term gaslighting comes from a 1938 play, Gaslight, and its film adaptation. Gaslighting can occur in I'm sorry, the title was Gaslighting in the movie adaptation too. Had Ingrid Bergman before you saw her in Casablanca in 1941. 3 years earlier, she was in this movie. And gaslighting can occur in personal or professional relationships. Victims are targeted at the core of their being and their sense of identity and self-worth. Manipulative people who engage in gaslighting do so to attain power over their victims, either because they simply derive warped enjoyment from the act, or because they wish to emotionally, physically, or financially control the victim of their gaslighting. And sometimes And a lot of those gaslighters, they don't say, I am going to gaslight the other person now. It's what they do. It's how they get by. It's how they manipulate to be able to course their way through life. There are places it begins. There are tactics that are used. But a relationship with a gaslighter, if you're in a relationship with one, might start out, it's all right. They might praise the victim on the first date, immediately confide in them. Such disclosure before any intimacy has been established. It establishes trust very quickly. And it's part of a tactic known as love bombing. And the more quickly a victim becomes enamored, the more quickly the next phase of the manipulation can begin. A gaslighter will initially lie about simple things, but the volume of misinformation soon grows. The gaslighter might accuse the victim of lying if he or she questions the narrative. But that's not the way that works. That's a lie. Don't lie to yourself now. And they typically deploy occasional positive reinforcement to confuse the victim. But at the same time, they may attempt to turn others against the victim, even their own friends and family, by telling them the victim is lying or delusional. That's how this stuff takes place. How do you recognize this kind of person, a gaslighter? Gaslighting can be more effective and successful than many people imagine. Almost anyone can be susceptible to gaslighting tactics, which have been deployed all throughout history. And they continue to be used today by domestic abusers, dictators, narcissists, cult leaders. The most effective gaslighters are often the hardest to detect. They might be better recognized by their victims' actions and their mental state. And by the way, in the play and the movie, gaslighting started over. It was in the age where they were using gas to light houses, to light lights, and something about saying the gas was on when it was really off, or it was off when it was really on. I don't remember all the details of the film, but that's where the term gaslighting came out of, that because of the gaslight, the object of the manipulation in the play. But who becomes a gaslighter? It's somebody who has employs this tactic. They usually have a personality disorder, a narcissistic personality, a psychopathy. I always get the syllable wrong on that. Chief among them. And manipulators have a tendency to present one face to their prey and another to the rest of the world, leading victims to assume that if they ask for help or speak out, no one's going to believe that they've been manipulated and emotionally abused. Gaslighters typically repeat the tactics across several different relationships. So, what's the difference between gaslighting and manipulation? Manipulation is a key part of gaslighting, but manipulation is a fairly common tactic, and almost anyone's capable of employing it, while gaslighting. Gaslighters are more rare. Children try to manipulate parents at an early age, and marketers aim to manipulate consumers. Manipulation's everywhere. But gaslighting involves a pattern of abusive behaviors with the intent of not just influencing someone, but controlling them. And there's all kinds of things you can do, how to get out of gaslighting situations, how to get out of gaslighting relationships, how gaslighters change victims, and all of this. All these signs are out there. I've got all kinds of things. There's 4 dubious pop psychological understandings of gaslighting. I have here 2 clear signs that you're a victim of workplace gaslighting. I've got the damage done by constant parental gaslighting. Why people gaslight. All of these things are part of examining what gaslighting is all about. Now, what I what I want to do here is I want to take this whole gaslighting thing and I want to ask the question, are you aware of the gaslighting of the American people and who's doing it? And I don't want, there are some people who don't want to hear this stuff because they know where I stand politically and they might be on the opposite end of the spectrum. But I think it's something that bothers me more than anything is people, even friends of mine that I care for a great deal, they will constantly put up things barraging Trump or one side of the argument, but they say nothing about the side they're standing on. They have nothing positive to tell me about that side of the aisle. They have nothing to tell me that tells me that they're doing good. Their entire existence is there to try to prove to me that Trump is something they want everybody to believe about him. And when they put that stuff up, mostly they've lost an audience. They lose people who, I have had people, I've commented on my friend's stuff, and I have people in his audience that will say, well, if you don't agree with him, why are you here? I said, well, is he just putting this shit up for you? It's because you agree with it? I said, I happen to disagree. If you're going to put something up on social media and make it visible publicly to all of your friends on your friends list, why is it when a friend comments something in opposition to what you put up, they're suddenly a troll or they're doing something wrong or they can't accept the truth or what are you doing here? And it's like, well, I see this too. I see my friend putting it up. I disagree. I disagree with what he's saying, kind of thing. So I see a lot of that. But I think the honest person is going to put up things like that, but they are not going to let it slide on the other side of the aisle. They try to be objective. Now, for me, tough to be objective about the upcoming election. I have a theory, my personal theory. They're going to replace Joe Biden. I think they're allowing everybody to see what's going on. To see Joe Biden slips, his evidences of his cognitive decline, and to deny them officially from the White House spokesperson, saying that's manipulated AI that you're watching. Oh, there's some things out there that are, but not the stuff in the news. You can check over and over in all different kinds of news sources, even different camera angles from different news sources, and find that these things are true. So who's trying to gaslight us? Who's trying to tell us something is different or trying to make us believe something is different than what our eyes have told us or what we already know? And I also believe that the reason this is not being done, that Joe Biden is being upheld by his party right now, because everybody's known it all the way along. And to not uphold him would mean they would have to admit to the general public that they knew this all along too, and that they've been lying to us. Can't do that. They can't afford to do that, especially in an election year. And they certainly don't want the vice president up in there, the current vice president taking over. I guarantee you they're going to have Joe not run. They're going to let him self-destruct at the debates. And he's not going to be suddenly, folks, he's not going to be suddenly cognitively aware and amazing at the debates. I don't know. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll surprise us all. I don't know. I'd rather doubt it. And so I actually think Trump may have a hard time getting elected if the Democrats pull Biden and put up somebody sharp and amazing on their side from their point of view. I don't know who that person would be. It certainly would not be Hillary, in my opinion. I don't think that would impress anybody. Who do you think the Democrats have? Here's a side question. Who do they have that they could put up to replace Joe Biden that the people who have left Biden in droves would go, oh, oh, hey, let's go back there because we like that person. Who would they put up? Who do you think is a good Democrat candidate? I think they should have started grooming someone a long time ago. I know the governor of California, Newsom. There was a lot of talk about him. I don't think he would make a good choice. Yeah, Michelle Obama, Barbie D. I've seen that. There's talk of that already. She has said she doesn't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. Doesn't mean she won't. So there's that. There's that possibility. Do you think Michelle Obama would turn the heads of people? I think the only people that are falling for the gaslighting of the Biden administration of the American people, and the only people that would vote for a Michelle Obama or somebody like that, would be the people that don't really know the issues. I'm sorry. And if you're one of them, I'm sorry. You don't know the issues and you don't understand them. It's usually it's the bread and circuses masses that will appeal to. So let's look at a second, just something kind of short I pulled up. Inflation rates. Now, financial talk, economic talk, that will put me to sleep before anything else. It'll make my eyes gloss over. I'm not an economist. I don't get that stuff. All I know is when it's good and when it's bad. But the inflation rates right now, as of just 3 weeks ago when this report was released, inflation rates show Biden is gaslighting Americans on the economy. Boy, this is by the U.S. Chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell. So good news. Inflation has eased a tiny bit in the latest consumer price index numbers. Oh, everybody breathed a sigh of relief. The Biden White House is touting that to America. See, Bidenomics works. That's gaslighting all by itself right there. The bad news on the flip side of that is most other indicators suggest that there's a lot more trouble ahead, not less. And I hate to be the bearer of that bad tiding. So yeah, that is the consumer price index numbers for April came in at 3.4% higher than a year ago, easing from March's 3.5% spike. But we're still at levels well above what the Federal Reserve Chief Jerome Powell wants. And the producer price index for April saw a 0.5 rise above the economist's 0.3 predictions. And the PPI generally indicates where the CPI is headed. So since producers have little choice but to pass higher costs on to consumers. Plus, the consumer confidence in April was at its lowest level since July of 2022, when inflation was at a blistering 8.5%. And it didn't go up till 9.2% for a few more months. So, meanwhile, interest rates have been at a 23-year high since last July. Wall Street keeps hoping the Fed will cut rates, but Powell's promising nothing, which leaves the working and the middle class squeezed, racking up more debt. Americans have already spent their pandemic savings while credit card balances soar. And meanwhile, job growth slowed last month, and the majority of jobs added were in government and healthcare, which itself is government dominated. Private sector employment has fallen very flat. So the specter of stagnation looms very heavy. And by every metric that you can measure our economy, Bidenomics has miserably failed Americans. Now, this is not a partisan pronouncement. This is from the I'm sorry, it's from the Federal Reserve. So I went blanked. I didn't have a Biden blanking moment. I just blanked on the words I was trying to pull up. So, the president's response to this. Hi, beautiful.
Hey.
What you doing?
Looking for Rowan's phone.
It's in my pocket.
I told her that I would get it if she did the dishes.
You can come and get it out of my pocket.
I don't want to come over there right now. I don't know what it looks
Oh,
like.
because of the way you're not dressed very well?
Yeah.
Looks good to me.
Uh-huh.
So,
All right, I'll tell her it's in your pocket and she should come down and
she should come down when she's all done doing what she's doing. There you go, folks. Little familial interruption.
Well, it'll be interruption again because she wants her phone now.
Oh, she can wait till I'm done.
Okay.
So she does not emphasize to her, I do not want her mouthing off to you or me.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You look beautiful. Sorry, folks. Familial interruption. She has left the room. Rainey has left the room. I thought she looked good. She was in a skimpy little tank top, string tank top thing. Oh, well. Anyway, so let me get back to this here on this. The White House, the economy. That's what we were on. Gaslighting about Biden's economy. And let me get back to where I was here. So what's the president's response to all of this? By the way, by every metric, Bidenomics has miserably failed Americans. Prices are now up an average of 20% over Inauguration Day of 2021 when Biden took office. So am I slamming Biden with this? No. Am I campaign stumping? No. But I'm giving you some facts as they are. The economy is not good, no matter what Joe Biden or the Democrats will tell you. They are gaslighting you. They're telling you and they want you to believe something is something that it is not. And it is not good. What's Biden's response to all of this information I just gave you? Lie outright. Insist you have the money to cover your soaring grocery bills and hope enough people believe him that he can get voted in for round 2 in November. Gas prices might be up, but Joe Biden's gaslighting keeps getting cheaper. And this wasn't written by Powell. This was part of the New York Post. The New York Post, not a Trump-friendly organization, but a little more journalistic than the New York Times. So the Post hasn't always been friendly to Trump. And so it's not about that. But so the Post is telling you Biden is gaslighting America with Bidenomics. And the left is upholding that. Why? Why do you suppose they're doing that? The media, the press, who's supposed to be objectively reporting, they're gaslighting us too. They're gaslighting us about Biden's obvious signs of decline. And here's why it's not going to work. The left's media narrative factory is working overtime on its latest and greatest attempt at gaslighting American citizens. They're supposed to report the news. Why are they gaslighting anybody? Here it is. Here's the whopper you have to believe to be an ally of our democracy in good standing. President Joe Biden is fit as a fiddle. Yes, sirree. That is the lie of history right there. If you're going to be an ally to democracy and you're in good standing as an ally to democracy, you have to agree that Joe Biden is fit as a fiddle and that there's nothing wrong with him. How many times did you see people saying things They've got the Democrats and the left have all these people all across the country in different places. We're talking senators and representatives and people that support Biden. They'll say, "Oh, he's the sharpest man in the room. He is so with it. He is so aware." Did you ever see that compilation of people saying things like that? It was unbelievable. And I'm like, who are they talking about? And you know what I think the problem is for the left? Is that the American citizens, whether they like the left or like the right or don't care for either of them, they're all starting to see what the lie is concocted of and how it's done, how it's made. And this is why you see the Biden campaign focusing on fluff. They're focusing on transgender rights. They're focusing on, and by fluff, I mean, it's not fluff to some people, but it's fluff. They're ignoring the economy. They're ignoring the border. They're ignoring wars in other parts of the country. Meanwhile, they're doing things like reinstituting selective service for the draft just the other day for 18 to 26-year-olds. I don't think that Elderberry, I think, looked it up the other day, and that has not been passed by the Senate yet. I think it's going to be vacated by the Senate anyway because it's full of crap, the bill that has nothing to do with selective service. So you see the left is going fluffy on just think of the pet issues that the left stands for. Think of the January 6th talk, which we all already know is a lie. We knew that at the beginning. We know it even more now. But they're camping on January 6th. They're camping on, and I just saw an interview, a video interview with the guy who had the horns, and he was dressed up as that very intelligent, cogent, articulate man. And he was talking about that whole thing. He spent 2 years in jail. And now he's released, but I didn't get to see the whole thing, so I don't have a lot of context to share about that. But man, was that guy on the mark. And he was calm and intelligent. Then you see, what's Trump pushing? Yeah, he's up there and he's talking about how, about himself, about how he was mistreated and all that. How can you not mention that? I would mention some of that. I'm not Donald Trump, so I would handle it differently. I have a different personality. But you look at all the things that he has gone through, everything he's done. He even said, I saw him today on the news. He was in Wisconsin yesterday, I want to say. I don't think it was today. I think it was yesterday that he was in Wisconsin. And he was saying, I could be living a very fine, quiet, happy life, and none of this would have happened to me if I hadn't run for president. And he said, my life was set. I was good. But how do you take a guy who was a bad boy, billionaire playboy, and turn him into somebody who loves his country? I think it's because he did always love his country, and he played the role. He did the TV thing. And I think at the same time, while that built his big head and his ego, he was also somebody that realized, you know what? Look at the way Trump runs now compared to the way he was running last time. It's different. And he's pushing the economy, the border, defense, ending wars. And I think he's right that right now you're seeing with Biden the very possible buildup to helping launch World War III. We don't want that. And that is not a scare tactic. You just got to connect the dots and follow the course of what's happening to see that is not far off. So what the Biden campaign is, it needs people who don't think about the issues and that are easily washed over by the talk of democracy and all of this and how MAGA is against democracy, all that garbage. I look at guys I've mentioned before, George Takei. People like him, they've got to be smarter than their public posts make them look. They know what they're doing. They're trying to manipulate those who don't think into voting the way they want them to vote. Elvis has asked me my thoughts on Putin and Kim Jong-un meeting, the UN meeting. I don't like North Korea and China aligning with, I'm sorry, and Russia aligning. There could be a lot of reasons that that's a good thing for them. There could be a lot of reasons that's a bad thing for Ukraine. It's a bad thing for the West. My mind always, Elvis, I'll be very honest. I don't always think in these terms anymore. But when I was in ministry, I thought an awful lot about the biblical end of days, the end of time, Armageddon, all of those things. And there was something in the prophecies of the end times. This was supposed to be after the rapture and the great 7 years of tribulation, and which ends with the battle of Armageddon, and then the millennial kingdom of God. During the lead up to the battle of Armageddon has a lot of things. One of them was the fact it said everyone in the world, meaning the world around the colloquial context of the day when that was written, the European countries for the most part, or there wasn't a lot there yet, but there was, by way of civilized government, it was talking about all the countries around them, Iran, Iraq, what are now the Stan countries, China, all of these countries aligning against Israel, which is what the lead up to Armageddon was, in a book of Revelation sense. I don't know how much of that I believe, other than to say there are other prophecies and other religions and other ways of thinking that kind of give us the same kind of look. So it's interesting. So Elvis, I would just answer that simply by saying I still have to dig into that more, what that alliance is going to mean. But I don't think it's any good for Ukraine. I don't think it's any good for Israel. I don't think it's any good for us or for Western civilization. So I have an issue with it. But there it is. How do we get to a Star Trek world where our world is, in the fiction of Star Trek, is unified? And for as much preaching as they did on that in Star Trek, the unified world thing, the United Federation of Planets, we've seen, and maybe this is because our own culture has drifted this way in the last 50 years, but you saw that Star Trek was anything but a unified world. There were so many factions and so much crap going on. But that's what they wanted to present. That's what they wanted to be. This is the goal we strive for. So I think while we're striving for certain goals, there are certainly things that are being revealed to us, like China, Russia, North Korea and Russia, that are disturbing on many different levels. But here's the big lie. That President Joe Biden is fit to do what he's doing. All those videos you've seen of him staring into space, moving awkwardly, falling, garbling words, shaking hands with the air, forgetting names, describing recent conversations with people who've been dead for years, being led around by handlers like a child. Absolutely fake news, according to the left. What can I do for you, child?
I have Ron's phone.
No.
She did the dishes.
Okay. She's going to have to come down and talk to me about what she did and why it was taken away.
Well, Ron keeps being rude to everyone.
Okay. I'm going to finish my radio show so I can talk to you about this when I'm done.
Well, she keeps.
It is
being-
what it is right now.
She keeps being rude to everyone.
Yep. Well,
Being
that
requested
you tell her
alone.
the more rude she remains, the longer the phone stays in my pocket.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yay.
Sorry, folks, listening on radio or listening here. There you go. That's what it's about around here right now. And I'm not a hard ass. I'm just tired of kids not doing what they're supposed to do. All right, so here's the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre. She told reporters and everybody on Monday that every video you've seen of the president looking frail and confused is nothing but a cheap fake. Hey, can I ask you all listening to this show, are you dumb? Aren't you? Don't you just feel stupid now that you believe that those were real? They were cheap fakes. According to Karine Jean-Pierre, I saw her say it. I saw her on the news saying it. Everything we've seen of Biden looking confused or frail is nothing but a cheap fake. AI, she quoted. And it's an apparent spin on deep fake, which is digitally enhanced video that's hard to distinguish from reality. It's hard to distinguish, but it's not impossible to distinguish. I got to tell you what, I know AI pretty well. I don't use it an awful lot, but I understand graphics. I understand motion graphics, and I can usually tell when something is manipulated if I look at it. Maybe the average mind won't. But the White House press secretary, the speaker, the public speaker to the media and the American people from the White House is telling you it's all fake. Everything that shows Joe Biden is in bad health is fake. She claims that the videos of Joe Biden freezing are cheap fakes and manipulated videos. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. Guess who said that? I'm going to give you a quote again. Anybody? Make a quick guess on this. Quote, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. End of quote. George Orwell said that. Animal Farm, 1984. So Jean-Pierre quotes the Washington Post supposedly to debunk these videos and never actually says that they've been digitally altered. How convincing is that? She never actually says they're altered. What did she say exactly? She said they're cheap fakes and manipulated. You know what? You can put a date tag on top of a video and it's been digitally manipulated. So I think I'll personally start using cheap fake as a new fashion phrase to replace Orwellian. It now means that a regime, a partachick is telling me that I need to stop believing in something I can clearly see with my own eyes, but it's demanding I turn my brain off and ignore it because it's manipulated. It couldn't be more obvious that the White House and its Democratic media allies think that Biden's health issues, I know you're not supposed to say that, I got that, but bear with me here in the realm of reality, that his health issues are a big problem politically. They also know that the crisis is escalating. Sure. Sometimes Biden seems sort of all right, doesn't he? But even at his best, the president is noticeably slower than he was a few years ago, even 6 months ago. And the number of odd incidents seems to be growing by the day. It was George Takei that said, it's obvious that everybody's trying to gaslight America and tell you that Joe Biden isn't fit for the presidency. And he proved this with the State of the Union address back in late January, early February. And you know what? That didn't prove a damn thing. That proved that he was so pumped up on something. And it's all been talked about. You can pump somebody up who's in a state of decline, and you can let him go for an hour and a half. Pretty soon they're going to be looking at their watch. Yes. Third person interrupting the radio show tonight. Okay. Yeah, why don't you wait till I'm done with my show, and we'll talk about it.
I'm not staying up till 11.
I'm on radio right now.
I know, but I'm not going to wait till 11 to get my phone back.
Gosh, I'm sorry.
Well, maybe you should end your radio.
I love you.
at 10 then.
Maybe you should go to bed without your phone.
I don't love you that.
Oh, okay. Thank you for hinging your love on whether or not you have your phone. I just got told, and I don't love you either. Jesus. Kids. So, the Wall Street Journal published a lengthy, damning piece in early June and highlighting that Biden has shown signs of slipping behind closed doors. I know what you're thinking. What? He hasn't been showing signs of slipping in public? Well, obviously he has. Biden's declining health has been a problem since he ran for president in 2020. It's been worsening since then, as age-related decline is wont to do. But when the Wall Street Journal weighs in, it's different. It's a signal that the media elites no longer can ignore or dismiss the problem outright. You know why? The Wall Street Journal is the Democrats and the leftists' lapdog. They will do what the left says. Biden's media friends went into attack mode in an attempt to smear the Wall Street Journal. Of course. Along with pretty much anyone who would dare suggest that something is wrong with the president. But the bad news kept coming. New videos of Biden behaving strangely have surfaced almost daily. And at an early Juneteenth celebration, June 10th, outside the White House, the president appeared to be frozen in place with a bizarre grin while everyone around him was dancing or jiving to the music. Looking lost, staring into space like a zombie. Biden looked particularly bad at events in France, commemorating the 80th anniversary of D-Day, which took place just days after the Journal published its piece. Did any of you see some of those with all the foreign dignitaries and world leaders at the celebration of D-Day in Normandy in France last week? And how many of you saw Biden and said, "Oh my God, I cannot believe that's who we have representing the United States"? The President of the United States. And if you listen to his speech, and it was acutely pointed out by others, it was almost a direct plagiarization of Ronald Reagan's speech 40 years ago. So, in one instance at D-Day, Normandy, Biden seems to be hesitantly moving to sit down during a ceremony with French President Emmanuel Macron and awkwardly freezing in place. The Associated Press, bless its heart, appears to have been to have a contextualize all the times Biden looks weird and ancient beat about them. I read that with the wrong emphasis on words. It appears to have a contextualize all the times Biden looks weird and ancient beat about them. And the Wire service fact-checked video of the incident. And it said, you might be seeing a clip on social media that appears to show President Biden trying to sit in a chair that isn't there. However, this video doesn't show the full context of the moment. So it shows that his head is partially behind the teleprompter. So that's going. Does the fact that Biden was trying to sit in a chair rather than no chair matter much here? The problem is that he seemed to hover in a semi-squat on stage position for an absurdly long time. He doesn't look right, and anyone watching it can tell. I saw the videos. It's not about the chair, it's about the way he's standing. And it got worse in another video that went viral. Biden and a group of other world leaders are observing military parachutists land all around them, and Biden suddenly wanders off before being gently brought back to the group by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. And Biden's media white knights leapt in to correct the record, saying that Biden actually wandered off to talk to parachutists just out of the camera shot, and that the New York Post and other media outlets were liars for posting the videos without that context. But the media's contextualizing doesn't really make the situation look any better. The problem isn't just that Biden seems to wander, it's the way he wanders and the reactions of those around him who see that he's wandering. Then came in my mind one of the most damning and symbolic videos that you will see about Biden's health. And it's just the last few days. At a big Democratic Party fundraiser over the weekend, Biden seemed to freeze again on stage. He's got George Clooney on one side of him. He's got former President Obama on this side of him. Julia Roberts is in there somewhere too, I think. And Biden, it's at the closing, and everybody's clapping, the music's playing. Biden waves, and then he stands there like he's been doing with his, his arms kind of out and standing. And it's time to go. Well, what happens? Was he just basking in the adulation and the applause of the crowd? Is that just a thing of interpretation? But the weird pause is not the biggest problem. What makes the video really stick out is the way former President Barack Obama, whom many suspect really pulls the strings in the White House right now, takes Biden by the wrist and essentially leads him off stage like a child, while Biden's standing there with a silly grin on his face, not moving, frozen. Obama, you see him, he just kind of reaches over and takes him by the wrist, and Joe turns to him and he leads him gently off stage and puts his hand on his back. The left and the media are working overtime, trying to debunk what happened with Obama, claiming that Obama didn't lead Biden off stage. But unfortunately for them, it's literally on video from several different angles. It's not a manipulated video. So anyone who's been around people who are elderly or in physical and mental decline understand what's happening. Those around Biden are trying subtly to aid the president without embarrassing him, but the signs are hard to hide. The issue is that Biden isn't just any average retiree in his twilight years. He's expected to be the president of the United States, who has awesome responsibilities and power, and whose judgment may decide the fate of millions over the course of his presidency. Yet the White House and the corporate media are saying, don't let your lying eyes deceive you. He's fine. MSNBC's Nicole Wallace parroting Jean-Pierre as she argues that videos of Biden looking awful are just a product of right-wing media that selectively edit videos to mislead viewers. She says there's a growing and insidious trend in right-wing media to take highly misleading and selectively edited videos of President Biden and use those videos to spread messages virally to cast doubt on President Biden's fitness for office. That's what she said. But there's no evidence of actual tampering in any of these videos. And in some, like the Obama-Biden one, the full, wide shot looks the worst of all. Biden partisans are even trying to turn the tables by saying that former President Donald Trump is the one who looks old and unwell. There's a photo of Trump shaking hands with his eldest son, Donald Trump, while heading to the stage. It doesn't look anything like what we saw with Biden Obama, but they're trying to say his son was helping him to the stage. Now, many point out that Trump is only 3 years younger than Biden. So any age concerns about Biden should also apply to Trump. Not so. much of the media's frustration, few are buying that, much to their frustration. Not everyone ages the same way. For whatever reason, Biden is slipping sooner, and it's not hard to figure out. Look at William Shatner. The dude is 93 years old. He doesn't appear to be slipping at all. He's an old man. But you look at William Shatner and you don't think old man. You think, oh, he's getting older. He's 93. That's why this whole thing is so devastating, why the left's gaslighting about Biden's condition isn't catching on. This isn't a matter of policy or ideas where one can turn to lies or sophistry to delude the public. You don't need to be a constitutional lawyer or a policy wonk to see that Biden is in steep physical and mental decline. If Biden looks this bad in public, you can bet that the problem is much worse in private, as the Wall Street Journal reported. It's why Republicans in Congress are right to demand the audio tapes of Biden's interviews with Special Counsel Robert Hur over his possession of classified documents from his years as a senator and vice president. Hur decided not to bring charges against Biden because he's an elderly man with a poor memory and diminished faculties. Remember how outraged the Democrats were about that when that came out? Why were they outraged? Because they said Biden's not fit mentally to stand trial, and they're not going to prosecute him. He's an elderly old man with a poor memory and diminished faculties. That might be really good. You'd think the left would go, yay, he doesn't have to stand trial for this, for his documents scandal. Which, by the way, happened, and he wasn't a president of the United States when he did that. But then you can't have it both ways. They have to say he's fit in order to run for the presidency, but then they don't want him prosecuted for what he did either. So just how diminished is Joe Biden? Given the demands on a modern American president, we should be concerned. If Biden really is out to lunch, then who's really running the executive branch of the United States government? The American people have a right to know this. And if the Democrats are going to hide this from the American people, at what point does that become treason? That's a good question to ask. It's now 10:15. I've got so much more information I wanted to go through. I've got gaslighting definitions and examples and support for it. I've got the gaslighting of the American people. And you know, you've heard some of this before, and you've heard some of it already tonight on the show, but you're the victim of political gaslighting. Did you know that? Depending on the news sources, the villain might be President Biden, might be President Trump, might be former Governor Cuomo, Bernie Sanders, whoever, but gaslighted you are. And how are you gaslighted? Narcissistic leaders or narcissistic supporters of those leaders, and his supporters have persuaded you to believe what you know to be false. This isn't just politricks as usual. It's an assault on your sense of reality. And you know that because journalists have told you so. You hear it so often, you might even suspect that you're being gaslighted into believing you're gaslighted. Look at that trick. Aha. No, I got you to believe what they were telling you was something that you should believe, and that you believe that instead of what you should believe. You're being gaslighted into believing that you're being gaslighted. And after all, many of these articles are hit pieces on politicians, not defenses of your right to transparency from government servants. Do you believe, my listeners here tonight, do you believe you are getting transparency from the Biden White House? Do you believe you're getting transparency from the left? You could ask, well, what about Trump? Do you have to say, we've all gone through, that's all we've gone through for 8 years. I'm asking about the current one. The danger is real. And if we're truly concerned that Americans are being gaslighted, then we need to move beyond partisan bickering to face the most tragic, widespread instance in recent memory. And that's government's handling of the economy, and before that, the handling of the pandemic. Just look to those things and tell me we weren't gaslighted into believing things that weren't so during the pandemic. Even we believed some of them in my household at the very beginning. I'm talking January of 2020. So 4 years ago. January 2020. Our kids have got to stay home from school now. They aren't going back to school for spring semester, which bled into summer, which made for a good 6 to 8 months of kids at home. Not having that 6-hour-a-day break, 5 days a week. And it's not that we don't love our kids. So you just saw examples of it tonight. It's like, it's enough. This is the way it is. So look at the stuff going on with Fauci right now. Should Fauci be targeted and be the scapegoat in all of this? No. But our government did an awful lot of stuff based on Fauci's being the man appointed to give the advice. So there is I wanted to go through a little bit of what the movie happened in the play in the movie Gaslight, so you got an idea. But there was a financial motive by the character Gregory in the movie Gaslight to get his wife Paula's property and house. And he was trying to drive her mad, and that was hence the gaslighting title. And gaslighting came from the action in the movie. It was the gas that actually turned on or off that was the key to unlocking the whole gaslighting issue. So you can go look that up. You can go see the trailer for Gaslighting. It's pretty good. But at the same time, you can go look up all these clips of Biden and what he's done and the way he's been. And you got to ask yourself, are we as American citizens being gaslighted? So yeah, Randall Flagg, you're right. Executive privilege doesn't cover. If you're talking about the same thing. I'm looking at a comment you made at 10:13, 8 minutes ago. But presidential privilege should not cover what Biden did because he did before he was the president. And the shot went to space. That's right, JP. At 91 or 92 was he? I think he was 92 when he did that. That was just last year. Or was it the year before? Was he 91? I don't know. So let's wrap this. Let's take a little break. Just a minute or two. We'll come back and we can open it up and we can have a little conversation. And so all of you, we're not signing off on radio anywhere because we're not on the radio station anymore, as you all know. If you haven't heard, Russ, the owner of Odyssey Radio, he shut down Odyssey Radio, at least for now. And so we're just doing this as a podcast for now, unless we formulate our own little radio network, which is a possibility too. So, but there's so many of them. The thing that prevents me from doing that, Rocky Stucci and John Ward and I did that. Rocky Stucci took the horse's reins on that one and did the IPBN, the Intrepid Broadcast Radio Network, IPBN, the Intrepid Paradigm, or the Paradigm Symposium, the Intrepid Paradigm Broadcasting Network, IPBN Radio. And he set it all up and had it going. He even bought a terrestrial radio station, and not the buildings and all of that, but he bought the airwaves. This is several years ago, 8-9 years ago, and he was going to launch it all up here. But having said that, it's not something we ever did. But we've all been in radio for a while. And then, you know what happens? Everybody else starts forming their own networks. Everything's so different now than what it was. And so it's like I said, when we were doing, when I was doing the Paradigm Symposium, once everybody else started doing symposiums too, it cheapened the effect, the effectiveness. When I was publishing Intrepid magazine, where it all started, I was working for Taps Para magazine. I broke off from them at the end of 2010, 14 years ago. And I launched Intrepid magazine in January of 2011. And it was great until everybody else started doing something like that. Then it's like, okay, I'm out. Randall Flagg says Josh Gates was searching for Alexander the Great. Good episode to start his season. That's very non sequitur, but thank you. I probably will want to see that. Thanks for that, Randall. So, as I was saying, let's go out to a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about more, and we can take your calls. So I'm going to put up the link right now as we go out and take a little break. Boom, boom. There it is, going into the chat room. Now, we'll go out for a couple minutes. You do what you got to do, and we'll be back, and we'll take your calls when I come back. We'll have some conversation for a little while. So for now, hey, everybody, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid Radio Program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Hey folks, this is Scotty Roberts, and this is the Intrepid Radio broadcast. I've been broadcasting for about 20 years now, covering such topics as science, politics, the paranormal, weird science, weird world history, archaeology, and the paranormal. Everything from ghosts to cryptids to creepy things that go bump in the night. So every week I bring you 3 new episodes. Come and join my channel and also be a patron to this site. So see the details below, and we'll see you here. Dave, I love you, brother.
I miss you too.
I miss you too, I heard.
Yep,
Did you guys hear that?
I heard that.
I miss you, Dave. Hey, welcome back to the Captain's Cabin, everyone. I'm having a true confessions moment with my young daughter. Hang on a second. I'm going to put my mic on mute, and you can just watch me talk for a second. All right, everybody, say hi to Rowan.
Hi.
There she is, my 12-year-old. So,
I look pretty batty right now.
you look batty?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I just look like a baddie.
Oh, you look like a baddie.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm a baddie.
You're fatty? You look like a
Baddie.
fatty?
Dad, no, baddie.
You're not that fat. Don't be so down on yourself.
He calls me fat every day.
That is my insult to her. What does she call me every day?
I call you old.
She calls me old every day. I go fatty. So
Kind, you can't tell
there you
me
go.
better than that.
I said, yeah, you can. If I look all that old to you, it must be the fat rolls in your eyes. They're getting to you. So she's not fat. She's too athletic to be fat. So there you go. Yes, you're right, Randall Flagg. Trump was found guilty of one thing with 34 charges. So, Chuck Thurston, you can gnaw on that bone all you want, brother. You say Trump has been found guilty of are not covered under any executive privilege either. No, what he was found guilty of was one thing. What was that one thing? They said falsifying internal financial ledgers. That was a dead issue before it went to court, but they found a way to resurrect it. Because what did the Democrats want? All they wanted was a conviction. It didn't matter what it was for. They wanted a conviction because they believed that was going to prevent him from running for office. We all see that they are now realizing what a stupid move that was. Didn't work, did it? Sorry, Chuck. I got to tell you. Misdemeanor booking error, says Susie Q. That's exactly what it was, Chuck. They tried to link it to federal campaign abuse because they brought in the Stormy Daniels thing and saying it was the hush money was for him trying to pay her to be quiet. Well, I see Fieldy and I see JP waiting in the wings. Hold on, I'll get there. Get you guys in. They're saying he was paying her to be quiet with campaign money so it wouldn't affect his election. That's how they manipulated this into campaign finance federal violation and making it a felony. Why did he have 34 felony convictions? Because he entered the divided one payment that was made in the one overall payment of $130,000 divided into 34 different payments made over a series of months to his lawyer who was billing him. They paid him. Oh, those are 34 different felony convictions of a crime that was a non-crime, was a misdemeanor, that had already run its statute of limitations. And it was a dead issue that the feds turned down when the Democrats tried to get him tried for it federally. They turned it down. Why did they turn it down? They said, there's nothing here. And that was their jurisdiction. So, Chuck, you got to give up talking about 34 convictions. If you're smart at all, brother, and I say this because I like you personally, but if you're smart, if you know anything, you'll know that those convictions are empty. They're void. That they don't mean a thing. They're on his record. That's going to be overturned. We know it because there's going to be a judge that isn't as an activist judge like Mershon. It's going to go up to a different court, and you're not going to have the activism going on. So there's a lot of reasons why that particular conviction, nobody who's smart should believe that that's a real. Oh, I see that. Now we got the other daughter coming. JP, I'm feeding back from you.
Oh,
I don't want
shoot.
to see that.
Hang on. I don't want to see that.
I don't care about
Any
that.
better?
He wasn't ready.
Rap singers. If you can call them singers. Who's feeding back? It's
I don't know.
Jason.
What kind? What's
Jason, it is you.
What's the
Because
feedback?
I hear my voice coming back at me. Your window's going wah, 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 with the sound.
Oh, it's probably because I have you pumping through the
That could be.
vehicular audio.
There you go. Yeah, it's not doing it now.
Let me.
Claudette,
Okay.
it wasn't me. Oh, I still hear the echo.
Well, how about this? I will just mute until it's my time to say something.
Sounds good. I got the echo. I beat you. So that's coming from JP's sound setup right now. So
Yes, JP is causing trouble once again.
man, way to go. Hey, Tara, how you doing? A rat Rex, that's Tara.
Give him a kiss.
No, get that out of my face. What are
I
you
can't
guys
see
doing
that
up?
picture.
It's 10:38. Why are you still awake? Come
How
on.
do I do? He said, "Let me see the picture."
It's some rap singer.
Who is that?
Is Drake?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
Drake's a pedophile.
I'm still up because yesterday.
Drake is not a pedophile.
Yes.
I will say that about him.
Yesterday.
Did he die?
What?
He kissed some teenage
Didn't
girl
he die
on
or
stage.
something?
What?
Didn't he die recently or no?
No,
it's a
not
lie.
that one.
Because they're saying something on X about they're bringing his name up and somebody died.
I'm pretty sure you're
I don't
talking
know.
about Dan Schneider.
Who knows?
I don't know who you're talking about.
I'm pretty
I
sure
don't follow
That's-
these rappers. I don't know. I listen
Yeah.
to real music.
Me too.
I'm still awake because yesterday I didn't go to bed till 3:00. You
Easy back there.
Because I was sleeping on the floor like I am tonight.
Well, that's good.
I don't want to get bit by a spider.
She got a spider in her bed or something. So, or bugs in the house.
Well, you
The
do
doors
know
get
that
left
the,
open and we get
the
bugs. in
spider
there.
can travel, but
Spiders can travel. They'll
spiders.
find you.
I have a fear of roaches, not spiders. Spiders are fine.
We don't have roaches up.
What?
Not as much. We get them up here, but not in our house. We don't have any.
Oh, this new house, I don't really get too much of them. So
Down
the
south,
old
we
one I
get a
got.
lot of those.
Well,
So
the
my
old
kids
ones I
all want
got
to move
big.
to North Carolina, and I said, you go down there, you're gonna have more snakes and
I'm not
bugs
moving
and.
until I graduate.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to college there.
I'll only move
Cool.
if Caitlin
Yeah.
moves somewhere.
I'm gonna be a cop, and then I'm gonna come find you, and I'm gonna give you a bunch of tickets Because you
Wait, Ellery, you're what? 9, 10, 8, 9?
She's 9.
In about 5 years or 6 years, no, 7 years, you'll be 15, 16. You'll be saying, I can't wait till I move out of here.
That's right.
Well-
Spiders are superb hunters. Thank you, Randall Flagg. They found my daughter on the floor.
Stop it. No, they didn't find
Well,
me on the floor. I
If you
haven't
get a
gone-
spider bite and it turns into MRSA, run to the hospital.
Thanks for that.
There you go.
You'll know because you'll swell up your arm or whatever you get bit. It'll swell up.
California, we have a garden spider, says Chuck Thurston, that's called the big jumping spider. It's big and jumps along a long ways. Is that the...
Stop.
Hey, Ellery? Over sensory overload right now. Just chill.
Did you drink my Dr. Pepper from the fridge?
No, there's one in the fridge down here.
You're a liar. That's
Go
what,
look in the fridge.
That's what Flynn said too. You guys definitely drink.
Why don't you
No,
go
she
look?
Can't go look. She can't.
I don't drink Dr. Pepper. I don't like Dr. Pepper.
Or
So-
Coke or whatever.
I'll drink it.
You know
Where's
what
it at?
Dr. Pepper is? Dr. Pepper is carbonated prune juice.
Flynn.
I drink Dr. Pepper a lot. Doesn't do me anything.
Wait, you're telling me that you don't want to be a pepper too?
Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
Back
I'm
in the
going to
day.
North Carolina.
And good one there, field guy, about the MRSA, which spider bites don't turn into MRSA.
What's MRSA?
Oh, yes, they do. Oh,
MRSA.
yes, they do.
MRSA is basically a antibiotic resistant strain of Streptococcus, whatever.
I have heard of that. Yes.
Yeah,
I have heard of that. I think my own wife was
but
dying.
spider bites from the right kind of spider will cause necrosis of the flesh, which MRSA can cause, but they are two entirely different things. One is
MRSA.
caused by venom, one is caused by bacteria.
And there you have it, folks.
I can tell
So
you.
I
I
gotta.
haven't had it.
Jason's
but
Health
I've known
Corner.
people that have gotten it. But, I mean, I've had staph infections, but
Yeah.
Right, and you know it's you gotta remember there's a difference between a bacterial infection and a venomous reaction. You know, they're very different modes of getting to the same thing,
Yeah,
if
I
you
could have
will, in
told you
terms
that
of
much. But I don't know much about any of that stuff. I don't keep any of that kind of knowledge at the front of my brain.
I typically don't keep it at the front of my brain either, unless something triggers it and it just comes flooding up from the depths
There's that.
of the abyss.
Well, I am still getting that big echo from you. Are you driving? Did
Yeah.
you say? Oh, so we're
Yeah,
picking it
let
off
me-
your.
Let me try something here.
There it is, folks. You're getting that
it's
echo. again.
sabotage.
Spiders can carry stuff. Yeah, especially
guys
the
hear me?
ones that hide in the banana crates.
can't hear you.
Susie, look it up for me. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I actually saw on Dateline, too, where it does that.
Chuck Thurston said we have the
Chuck,
brown.
how about now?
We have the brown recluse. That one's
Oh,
deadly.
yeah.
That one's
So
dead black
more
widow.
so
Spiders, deadly spiders. You know that you keep compiling. There's a list, a bullet pointed at list I have of reasons why I don't move south to the deep south.
Oh,
anyway.
believe me, I've had my fair share of interesting spiders show up in the new place now that it's really started warming up. I've killed a couple of fiddlebacks already, but I know
You're
once I'm in the
technically
house
South,
more.
JP.
Missouri is not technically the South.
Hey, they're in the Southeastern
That's very true.
Conference now.
It's just
so
warmer
technically,
there.
yeah.
It's a warmer climb.
So
Look,
claim
we
Missouri the South.
do not base geography off of stupid sports
Oh, no.
conferences.
You can come back.
Well, I declare it as part of the South. They're like right at the border, but
They're at the border, but they're not the South. It was a divided state during the Civil War in terms of support, but it never seceded from the Union. So
Yeah, we kicked them out. That's
there.
right.
No,
kicked them
we
out.
didn't. You did not kick them out. The South did not kick Missouri out.
How come I got two
Missouri said
circles talking to each other in here?
Missouri said we are not
Circle for Jason,
seceding.
circle for field guy.
We are remaining in the Union. There was no kick out.
Exactly. That's why I got kicked out in the first place.
Right. And the losing team can keep telling itself that they kicked them out.
Hey,
But last time I checked,
we wasn't around. We wasn't around. So if I was around, we would have won the war.
Right. Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it.
I would have pulled the Biden on them. They would have been like, "Huh? What?"
Turning towards other political things and political chicanery in a more modern setting.
Yes.
I feel it necessary, no matter how much I dislike the guy or disapprove of policies or how he's handled things or things like that. You know me, I'm about what is the actual fact, right?
Right. That's the way we have to
I
be.
try to be as objective as humanly possible.
Yes.
In regards to Biden being
There's
there.
no S on regards, by the way. That's a pet peeve, and I got to point it out. That's like
sorry.
saying especially. There's no X.
It's like regarding Biden.
Boom.
Notice I did not say irregardless, which somehow made its way into the dictionary.
Oh, that's another one.
Yeah. That's in the dictionary now, by the way.
Regardless, folks. Yeah. That's because I know you're going to make a different point, but the point I will make here very quickly is the lowest common denominator in language now has been said enough that it's being added to the dictionary.
Right. Exactly.
Go ahead. Anyway,
so,
your point.
In the footage of Biden appearing to wander off when the parachutists landed and all of that. So, have you seen all of the footage from that incident? If you look at that footage and you look at the entirety of that footage, you will straight up see Biden walk towards two parachutists that are down on the ground gathering up their silk. And he gives them a thumbs up and says something to them.
It's even in the short clip. You see him talk and his thumb comes up. From the side.
And so like it's just another example of on both sides, the media just peddling absolute bullshit.
Well, I don't think it was absolute bullshit. I will say this about that incident. That was an incident where all the world leaders are over here doing this, and he kind of wanders off in that direction to say hello and thumbs up to those guys. Now,
and you know what?
Because he was giving them kudos, or was it because his attention was gone?
Well, the thing is none of us were there, but you can sit there and you can spin it. The cold hard facts of the matter are, Biden did not just wander off into space like some space cadet asshole until somebody tapped him on the arm and be like, "Hey, Joe, we're taking a photo."
And why did she walk over and grab him?
Because he was engaged with them. It's like, "Hey, we're doing a photo." "Oh yeah, I just wanted to say something." Like, you have to look at all of the possibilities. And like I said, this is regardless of whether I like the guy, don't like the guy, like his policies, hate his policies. We all kind of know how I feel about it. It is important that we, as the people who are consuming the media, be objective and look at things of all sides. And it's even more important for the media to have journalistic integrity and show the entirety of something.
Well,
and that was really the point that I want to make on that.
I think the reason that was grabbed was and added to the list was because of the long list of things accumulating.
And it could be, but again, you're only seeing a snippet of the picture, and you have to look at the whole thing from a different angle to see what he's actually doing, and that he's not off wandering off like a space cadet. You got dudes who
Right.
just jumped out of an airplane. I'm pretty sure Joe Biden's never jumped out of an airplane. Like, he's going over and he's giving some praise to some military parachutists. You can very easily take it at face value with that, and it's not a spin job. I think
And
any
I would
person,
argue the same thing that you argue
right?
if I were in the setting where I'd be arguing that. Boy, that was profound. I'd be arguing that if I was in the setting where I'd be arguing that. I just said. I hope you all wrote that down. But I have
Welcome to the
argued
Department of
points like that
Redundancy.
for Biden because I think that you can't demonize everything the man does. Now,
Right.
he may have been distracted like a child because his mind is not all there anymore, and that brought him over to go, hey, great jump.
Right. Or it could have been like, dang, parachutist, that's cool.
Right.
Good job, guys. You stuck
good
that
job.
landing.
And then I see, just the other day, being led off the stage by Obama.
Well,
He
right. And that's
clearly was not.
exactly. And I'm not saying that he's not having
Right.
those moments. You
And I'm
know
saying
that
there's enough of these that it makes
Right.
you, when you see the one with the parachutist, go,
but
is that the
if
same
you
thing?
you have
Yeah.
to be people have to be
fair across the
honest
board. Yes.
when looking at things and fair across the board and be willing to say there's a lucid moment. We
Yes.
have the evidence of it. We all need to shut up about this particular instance and not use it.
Yeah.
Stack up everything else you want to against the guy. Bury him in it, but be honest in doing so.
Be honest if you're going to criticize, be honest in your criticism.
Right. Be
And-
honest and accurate. That's
And I
that's
believe
my
in that.
thing.
And I've promoted
Right.
that, and I've done that.
Yeah.
So
Hang on, I gotta mute for a bit, so you guys have fun. I'll be right
you
back.
mute. He's going pee, guys. He's going pee.
Union rest break.
Yes. Union break, yes. So yeah, Jason makes a good point. And I agree with that. I agree that we can't be critical for every reason or any reason. We've got to think about everything. And but when I say the main point of tonight was the gaslighting of America, I believe that that's factual, and that's the truth. And there are things that maybe get lumped into that because we've been lied to so much. I think it's like a trust issue. Let's say your spouse is constantly sleeping around, philandering, and they get caught, and you keep taking them back, caught, taken back, caught, taken back. Or you use an alcoholic. Your spouse is an alcoholic, and they say they're not drinking, but you find it, and they keep getting caught drinking and drinking and drinking. There's going to be a point where you don't believe much about what they say. They've lost complete and total trust. And I think the Biden administration has taken an inordinate amount of effort and time to deconstruct everything that people have as criticisms. And people are saying, I'm not buying that bullshit anymore. We've seen too much of this. And then when it comes to his health issues, we've seen too much of it. And so it tends to be a thing of maybe it's not accurate to criticize over that particular one, but it looks like all the other ones, and it starts mounting. You can tell why do they throw that in? Because they don't trust anything that Biden or the White House says anymore. So
Well, you see, they bring up a point of his faculty. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that nothing was wrong with Biden. He's 100% accurate. Would anything really change? I doubt it. I mean, like, would things actually go? Would the Democrats actually change anything?
right.
Like, would it be so screwed up? They would still run the same agenda. It's just that they wouldn't have put Biden in office. They would have put someone else
Somebody
that
else
actually
in
would
the
listen to him.
Right. And Chuck says when it comes to gaslighting, that's at the base to all politics these days. There's very little truth in many of it. I disagree with that statement, Chuck. I agree that there are people who gaslight and there are people who don't gaslight. I think my young daughter asked me what a conservative was. No, Rainey asked me today, how would you define conservative? And I'd say conservative is generally somebody who I would think would act more propitiously. They would act more above board. They're not emotionally driven. They're more logic driven, more sticking to, you could say sticking to the traditional as opposed to the risky. A conservative is somebody who stands for certain values. In our country, if you take it into things like constitutionalism, that's upheld mostly by conservatives. It's not saying that Democrats don't, or liberals don't honor the Constitution. It's saying they're willing to change it quicker than a conservative. And so I think, Chuck, I would say that there in politics, there's a side that is more apt to gaslight and a side that is less apt to gaslight. And I would think more conservative thinking veers away from gaslighting, while less conservative thinking does not. That's my thought on that, Chuck. So, and Jason's back. How you doing?
And I'm back.
That's my thought.
I am back. You know, that's one of those things where when you look at what side
Good night, Susie Q.
a conservative or a liberal or a, Democrat, however you want to put it, and one side being more likely to do something less, more adherent to a code, a standard of doing things. I honestly believe that there are tons of people on the left side of the aisle who have the same staunch principles for the most part, varying slightly here and there.
Yes.
As conservatives.
Yeah.
They just have a different method of trying to attack the issues.
Right.
I think, honestly, one of the big things I think is that thanks to media, thanks to social media, thanks to all the, stupid things associated with that happen and that go on, that you own, and the media, you get fed a hyper filtered image of what all goes on.
Yes.
And how people are, and we don't see the actual practical everyday operation of things. Now, it's like all you ever see are the dumb high school arguments between Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC, right? You only see small snippets of things.
The snippets, the highlights. Yep.
And they're, now, typically speaking, and I don't even want to get into Marjorie Taylor Greene because there's a whole bunch of stuff with that woman that,
Sure.
even if politically, there are things that I align with her out there, her conduct is unbecoming.
Yes.
And she needs to grow the hell up, and act her damn age rather than her shoe size. And you look at some guys. Oh God, was it Josh Hawley? I think Senator Hawley. No, maybe it's not Hawley. He's a vet, skinny guy, brown hair. He grills these people during these Senate hearings and stuff pretty damn hard. And actually, they kind of all do it. To the point where somebody can't even get a statement out. They just want the yes or no. When I hate to tell you guys, not everything is a yes or no. Not everything is black and white. And you cannot distill it down. I know you're trying to get the sound bite. You're trying to prove the point. You've got 5 minutes to talk at most. But at the same time,
are you capturing what actually needs to be captured in that process? And are you getting an actual answer? Now, granted, there are some of those people in those hearings who will sit there and they will talk around and around and around in circles, and it's about as messed up as a football bat that they do it. But sometimes there is a long form answer, or at least a longer form answer that needs to be given, and you need to stop looking for the mic drop. And if you want to get to the bottom of an issue, and I think the latest one I saw this was, oh God, they were talking about, clean energy, electric cars, and, greenhouse gas emissions with oil production companies, etc.
Mhm.
And the one thing that he was trying to get an answer on, and nobody was giving him an answer, and they're doing it roundabout, was whether or not they should decrease production. Are they going to be forced to decrease production because of these efforts, right?
Yes.
And the long real answer to it is, and one of them, to their credit, tried to give him this, and it was not necessarily, right? But that's not a good answer, because what they're looking for is yes, they're going to have to, and see what this is going to do to the economy, and it gets all that. But the thing is if you have a company that can figure out how to significantly reduce their greenhouse gas emissions while maintaining production or even increasing production, then they don't have to reduce production. And that's what the person is trying to say. And it turns into this yes, no, no. I want a yes or a no. I want a yes or a no.
Sure.
It's like, hey, pal, here's the deal. It doesn't work like that, even though you sit up on that dais. Like that. That's not reality. So both sides of the fence are horrible about doing things like that. But and all of that stuff is the thing that gets the attention, right? That's what gets all of the focus, and you don't see any of the real work that goes on.
Right.
And you heard a lot about that kind of stuff a long time ago, where you hear more and more about people working together and coming together over stuff than you do today. And it's frustrating. Quite frankly, we should all shut off CNN. We should all shut off Fox. We should all shut off MSNBC, ABC, Newsmax, whatever, and just friggin' watch C-SPAN on long form.
Well, there is a way that we need to be able to inform ourselves of what's actually happening in order to, and we don't have lots of time left to talk about it because we're already after 11 o'clock. Hold on one second.
Which is why I say everybody just needs to watch C-SPAN, the long form.
Making a lot of noise. It might be running too deep. Okay. My 12-year-old is also learning to tattoo alongside of me. So she's over there working on a tattoo. It's summer, so they get to stay up. Oh, we have the professor. Hey, I said it was after 11, and he signs in. How you doing, Professor?
Good evening, gentlemen. I thought I walked by the studio and I had you on. It sounded like Roger Ebert and whoever that other cat was that used to do the movie reviews.
Siskel and Ebert.
Siskel and Ebert. Yeah, you guys sound like you're
now.
You guys,
hold on, Professor. Hang on one sec. I gotta get this credit card out. Hold on. I gotta do something for you here.
There you go. Send it to my Venmo, my PayPal.
There we go. I cut you up a few lines of that Ethereum and Materium for you.
There you go. So it sounded to me like you guys were waxing and waning and whining and complaining about the multiple movies on one screen that we call our government, which is basically deteriorated into complete buffoonery and fuckery afoot. And if you don't see it as that, then you end up getting caught into discussions like you have been having, because it's all bullshit. And if you can't see it as all bullshit, then you're getting into the personality bullshit. And all that is a bunch of actors in the certain scene and act that's going on right now. But that's all bullshit. And as a matter of fact, I will go ahead, since I'm right at the end here, and
step out on that limb.
I'm going to step on out on the thin twig of speculation and hang out with some high octane speculation. I don't think Biden will make it to the election.
No.
B, if they do make it to the election, then what will happen will be there will be so much shenanigans and shady shit afoot that they won't be able to call the election, that it then will probably be tossed to the House, which will then toss it to the states. We could be in an election stasis for at least 6 months because they're going to try and take the election once again, just like they did in 2020.
Well,
That
the
was all
only
complete
thing
bullshit.
I think it's like Trump now. It's rhetoric in his campaign, but what are they saying? Too big to rig. They're saying, get everybody out. Let's have the vote big enough that it's a landslide. There's a certain point mathematically where it's not going to be so close that if one goes past the other, it's going to be too big to claim that it's rigged.
Well, that is certainly a possibility, and what I prefer will happen. But the fools that are afoot causing all of this bullshit,
yes,
they know they're on their last leg. They have no more. They're throwing everything they can because they don't care anymore because they know they're losing.
That's right.
And the shit they pulled in 2020, the January 6th bullshit, all of the trial bullshit, and the hypocrisy, and I hate using that word because it's just been thoroughly abused. They've gotten to the point to where they are actually, and I've been saying this for 10 years, Tucker's jumped on it, a bunch of others. They are doing exactly what they're accusing their opponents of doing. The jailing of political opponents, all of the lawfare crap that's going on. There is nothing more than sheer, abject, incompetent idiocy going on. And we, the people, back to one of my other regular themes, is the rise of the pissed off peeps. We're not only seeing it here, which could contribute to the point you were making, Scotty, about too big to rig. Have you seen what's happened over in the EU in the last few weeks?
Yes.
There is a massive movement to the right.
Massive movement to the right.
Macron or whatever his name is, he called a snap election for, guess when? July 4th.
Oh.
How ironic is that?
Yeah.
I mean, so there is a huge movement across the planet of people that are fed up and pissed off with progressive, liberal, neo this, neo that, all these idiots. Yes. You think that because they have such empathy that they can't think through something and think about it logically. And well, do you have a system and a process to achieve the noble goal that you're clamoring on about with too much volume and velocity? No, because they can't think. They don't think, and that's because there's mental illness in that ideology. So the people on the left they're not brainwashed, they're brain stained, and what they need is a good brainwashing, and something like the too big to rig could be the first step of getting them to stop this bullshit and realize they've been wrong all along.
Something radical has to happen that's not radical. Right. It's got to be something big, like too big to rig needs to happen in order to kick something like this off.
Right.
You remember back in the day, we used to have, of all people, MTV.
Yep.
Who
I mean, the 4 years of music that they've done over the last plus?
Exactly. You remember when they did the whole rock the vote thing all the time? And that was like the biggest thing out there. Rock the vote. Get out and vote. Doesn't matter who it's for.
They used that for Obumble.
Well,
yes,
they were using that before Obama. They've been using that. They were using that for a long time before him. And so it's like, where is that anymore? That just the drive of like, hey, get out and vote, and having big companies, corporations, news media outlets, your local radio stations, everybody saying, get out and vote, and preaching it for months ahead of time.
Not sit in and mail in your vote.
Well,
It's
you're
get
exactly
out
right, Scotty.
and
That's
vote.
why the get out the vote stopped, because they said, why get out when you can mail it in and
You
forge it?
mail it in. And
Do you know that the majority of the countries around the world only use paper,
mhm.
Yeah.
and they get it done within a day?
Yep.
Mhm.
And Scott Adams has put out some interesting stuff on X where he says he asks a simple question: tell me what is the advantage of a voting machine? Nobody has been able to defend it because it's
Right.
not transparent, it's not trustworthy, and it's not dependable. So why are we using it? The only reason
Well,
could be
because
because of fraud and manipulation. I'm a computer guy. I know what those systems can do. You can go in and screw with that shit remotely up from the other side of the planet.
yeah, as long as it's hooked to a network or it has some sort of Wi-Fi capability, you can do whatever with it. Sit there
Yeah,
and say
Chuck-
that something is
Chuck's bringing up-
unhackable.
Chuck's
is-
bringing up the dangling Chad from 2000. Well,
2000. Yeah.
that was you notice they don't use those anymore.
Nope.
Well, and that's probably why. Let's face it. Somebody somewhere was like, all right, we're not going through this BS again. We're not
Right.
going to go through. Did somebody punch something hard enough to, punch
Right.
a hole in it? Or is that just a dimple? Was this really their vote? There's like 8 dimples on here from like they were hovering over the, button or some shit. So I think probably it started off with we're not going through this again. We're
This is a
going for
good
accuracy.
question. This is a good question that Randall Flagg brings up. How is Trump going to be able to perform or answer certain questions in the debate if he's still under a gag order? That is unconstitutional.
Gentlemen, I'm here. I'm going to make another prediction. Supreme Court's going to step in the next week or so, and they're
Yes.
going to rule by at least 5-4, maybe 6 or more
Yep.
on the immunity thing, and that's going to toss out 90% of the bullshit that
I
they've been
agree.
tossing at Trump. So that
agree.
gag order is unconstitutional.
Yes.
The all of the trials are unconstitutional. The fact that they had to make up a law to get Trump on the latest one that all the other courts had said there's nothing here, we're not going to go for it. So
Yep.
they had to go in and manipulate the legal system in order to come up with the crap to jail him. And watching these libs just jump up and down and just
eat it up.
they're having wet dreams while they're awake.
It's like,
and
do
it's
you
like,
know what
what's
you
wrong
are?
with you people?
Yeah, that's what I say to them. And do you know what's wrong with you? Do you know what you're applauding here? You're applauding unconstitutional activity. You're applauding judicial advocates.
They're applauding the
Advocate is not the word I'm looking for. Not advocate. Activism. You're applauding judicial activism. You're applauding prosecutorial activism. All of these things, but they don't get it. That's why I contend that the only people who are going to believe the bullshit coming out of the Democratic Party and the left are people who do not know how to think.
Exactly.
That they don't care about thinking. They don't care about knowing facts. They care about what makes their gut feel good. And
that's why I say it's a mental illness.
Yeah.
And, love him or hate him, Limbaugh called this out back in the 90s, that liberalism was a mental disorder.
Yeah.
And it has metastasized, and it is actually infected mostly, if you look at the folks on the left and you just kind of do a cross section of the male and female character types, you have a bunch of dominant women on the left and a bunch of pussified men on the left. On the right, you've got a bunch of, I heard this term on Father's Day, the trad dads, traditional dads, right?
Yep.
I need to take this real quick. I'm going to turn me.
Well, I got to go. That's the thing. I got all kinds of family members. So take your call. Guys, we got to start wrapping this up. I'll wait until the professor comes back in. But we've got to wrap it up. It is 11:14 my time, midnight 14 if you're out east, but it's only 9:14 out west. So where Chuck is, Chuck, we'd stick around, but so we're not going to stick around much later. Chuck, the gag order covers only the trials. I realize that, but he cannot answer any questions about the trial because he's still under that gag order. That's exactly what I meant.
Well, but how does that impact campaigning other than him not being able to be like, it was a load of horse shit?
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about anything in the debate. How is he going to be hampered in the debate about anything about that trial if questions come up?
Well, the debate,
cannot talk about them.
The debates shouldn't be about that. The debates should be about the issues.
They shouldn't be what they were last time either. Some of the bullshit that was asked, but it happens.
Right.
We already know. Yeah. We already know it's a rigged debate, and Trump is going in under that. Yeah, why is it rigged? Because only one side gets to call all the shots. But Trump agreed to that. He says, "Yeah, anytime, anywhere." He says, "I'll take whatever terms you offer up. I'll be there." Just to get him there. So Biden didn't have a chance to back out. And, it's going to be things like, seated during a debate. Your microphone is turned off when it's not your turn to talk.
Well, as long as they apply that across the board, it's not a problem.
That's what makes the debates colorful. I want to hear when another guy interrupts when it's not his turn. What's he interrupting about?
Quite frankly, I don't want to hear that. Why? Because you should have been raised better, and you should know your stuff well enough going into a debate that once that other idiot has finished saying their thing, you can come back and you can throat punch him into next Tuesday.
Dismantle him.
Right. And that's the thing is when you have the talking over and the interrupting, all you do is it gets focused on the and then it just devolves. So like that's absolutely stupid. They should have been shutting off mics decades ago. Like, put electrodes under their seats.
Yeah, I just want to show you on a fake skin. My daughter just tattooed that. She's trying to learn how to use the gun.
Nice.
Cool.
Good job.
I'm trying to learn how to use it. I
know there
how
you
to
go.
use it.
Trying to learn how to use it,
I
Father.
memorized the levels for it before you did.
Oh, well, good for you. La-di-da-di-da.
Good for me.
Give me your phone.
Well, I'm counting on the poor execution of some type of alien invasion.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do a World War III because there's too many countries and people now that have had enough, and they're looking at it going,
like turtle.
We need to clean out these lifetime bureaucrats who don't do anything for anybody but themselves.
I love you.
Go with Vivek Ramaswamy's method, which is you grandfather the current people in.
Hand me that Sprite.
And then you instill the term limits, and within a decade, you will probably see most of those people who are grandfathered in gone because they'll get voted out.
Yeah,
I think that they're going to be gone long before that, because one of the things again that people on the left don't do well, which is what Scotty was saying, they don't know how to think. They don't realize that all the shit that they've pulled have set precedents that will come back and bite them hard. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see, for example, the January 6th. In fact, Massey has introduced legislation to basically call that entire committee bogus and irrelevant, which will then remove all of the bullshit that they've done to these poor people.
Yes.
But I think that more importantly, what will happen is you put somebody like a Robert Barnes or even Vivek, you put one of those two guys in on the as the what's Garlic, Maryland. What's his name?
Yes.
He's the Attorney General.
Yes.
You put one of those two guys in there, and they are going to go through and just start cleaning house.
Clean house.
Which needs to be done. These people need to serve time for their crime against the country, not just their fellow Americans. What they have done in the way that they have conducted themselves and weaponized the entire administration and government against people they don't agree with, simply because they're just somebody else that we don't like what they're saying. How did that censorship shit work out for you? How did all of the cancel culture shit work out for you? How's your gender dysphoria working out for you? How's all of the incredibly insane policies that have driven up the debt, made inflation nuts? How are all those things working out for you? They're clearly failing and failing hard.
Which one?
The people responsible for them will pay the price, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the people who've caused the problems will pay the price, whether it's through legal action or through people, voting them out, because even that's a consequence. So,
we
either
can't wait
way,
for them to be voted out. The problem is that we have a bunch of stupid people
Yes.
that have been voting for these stupid people.
I
You
agree.
can't rely on the people anymore, because the ones that are activated, that are going in and not only voting dozens of times, but have also got their fingers in the cookie jar of the election system. Those people are the ones, they're a small minority, but they are spread out across the system. And the majority of the people in the country are sleeping. They are what I call the sleeple. They're not the sheeple. They're asleep. They're not paying attention. And you get people like Chuck who are sitting out there kind of somewhere on a fence somewhere. I think, I don't know. Half the time he makes sense. The other half the time I think he's soaking in Kool-Aid, because some of the statements that he makes are like he just got done watching the latest episode on MSDNC. I mean,
MSDNC, exactly.
The food that's being fed from these bullshit idiots is just pervasive. And if that's all you consume, it eventually consumes you.
Right.
And people don't realize that if you believe anything the government says, anything that comes out of corporate media, anything that comes out of our science model, anything that comes out of our academia, then you don't know what's going on. You are accepting the lies that they've packaged up and shoved down your throat and up your ass, so that you don't know how to think.
And I'm in agreement.
Telling you what to think.
I'm in agreement, but I got to go.
Yeah.
We're now
I got to go
22 minutes over, and I've already got people rifling me with questions. Everybody's still awake here, and I got to go take care of a conflict that's coming up for tomorrow with stuff going on in the family. So that's why I have 11 o'clock as my sign off.
Well, that last time
Professor,
you let
gotta
me in
come
at
at
11.
10:30 at the latest. If you show up past 10:30, I'm not bringing you on.
You got to get in sooner, man.
Well,
I
some
love
of
what
us
you have to contribute and what you have to say, but now we got to get out of here. So we got to leave it hanging. But we'll be back
like a
on
Chad.
Friday. Like a Chad, hanging like a
dangling Chad, and that's what we all are in the great realm of the Materium and the Ethereum off of the consciousness there, Jason. We are the dangling Chads of consciousness.
Yes.
The all-pervasive cosmic knowing.
And I saw the best T-shirt today. You guys may have seen this before. And this might belie my political position, in case any of you might not know, because I'm very subtle about it.
I've noticed.
It said MAGA on a black shirt. It said MAGA in white. Then in kind of scripty, like claw-like letters, MAGA AF. So MAGA as fuck.
There you go.
There you go. Professor, I'm going to let you go.
I'm out of
Good to
here.
have
Thank
you
you
here.
for letting me come in and flap my yap. It's great.
I'm glad you did.
Later, Prof.
We'll
you
talk
guys.
to you soon. Jason, you too. Got to get you out
Have
of
a
here.
good one.
You have a good night. There are days I watch you walking around your place there, and you're talking away to us and all that, and I'm thinking, I kind of miss those days when I was a single bachelor and I was home and it was 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and my house is clean, and I'm walking around, I'm washing my coffee pot, and I'm prepping stuff and I got my stuff around me, and it's just me. I'm just a guy.
Well,
but
I'll
I
tell
wouldn't
you.
let that impose now in exchange for what I've got. Just sometimes.
My house is not clean because I am still unpacking and everything like that, and I typically at the end of the day am not
sure
there enough to really
Scott
go
Allen,
through
I didn't even see
anything.
you come in.
And I for one
would love to have the normal presence of someone else and not be living the life of
I
a
hear that.
bachelor.
And I'm just saying, I just miss it sometimes. Sometimes it's nice. Sometimes it's good to be lonely every now and again, as the song goes. So, but yeah, I wouldn't trade my family for anything. But sometimes, hey, my family all went on vacation. Yes. Anyway,
Little
you
alone
have a
time's good.
good lonely night over there,
All right, I will. All
swinging bachelor, and I'll talk to you soon.
right, take care.
Everybody else, Friday we'll be back, hopefully. If all goes well, we'll be back on Friday. And there you go. That's all I got. And I got nothing else. So I'm not going blank. I'm just trying to think. Do I have anything to add? No. Let's just get out of here for the night. So I want to thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here. And if you want to support this show financially, there's a couple of ways. Just hit the join button below or go over to my Patreon. Patreon.com/Scotty Roberts. And you too or is it Mr. Scotty Roberts? Try one of the two. And you can help support this show. Thank you for that in advance. Thank you to all of those of you who do already. And there we go. We'll be back Friday, hopefully with a little paranormal fare. And we'll have some good discussion and good times. And that's about it. So I'm dragging it out for some reason. I shouldn't. I don't need to. So thank you for being here. Everybody live long and prosper. Dave, I love you, brother.
I miss you too.
I miss you too, I heard.
Yep,
Did you guys hear that?
I heard that.
I miss you, Dave.